They say power has a sound. In my experience, it's quiet. It sounds like people lowering their voices when one person walks into a room, like doors closing softly behind you, like everyone pretending not to see what's happening because seeing it would cost them something. For a long time, that sound belonged to her. Everyone feared her, everyone tiptoed around her, and I was supposed to be invisible to her. I was just the girl carrying drinks. The mistake she made, the only one she couldn't undo, was assuming I'd stay that way. My name didn't matter back then. I was nobody important, at least not on paper. Late 20s student loans, a degree I couldn't use, and a resume that quietly scared employers once they dug too deep. I'd learned the hard way that exposing powerful people doesn't make you brave in their eyes, it makes you radioactive. So, when I took a job at a members-only club overlooking the harbor, I told myself this wasn't forever. It was a hiding place. You don't look for a spotlight when you're trying to survive. You look for a shadow. That night, the rain was coming down sideways, soaking through my jacket as I stood by the service entrance adjusting a uniform that felt like it belonged to someone else. The head of security sized me up and said, "Rule 1, don't stand out. Rule 2, don't look her in the eye." I didn't even have to ask who her was. Everyone knew. She was the fiancée of the club's most powerful member and heir with a reputation sharp enough to cut glass. People didn't hate her openly. They feared her quietly. Inside, the place glowed with money. Low lights, soft music, conversations that sounded polite but meant something else entirely. And there he was, the man everyone orbited around. Young, brilliant, bored out of his mind. He'd built a company that made the city proud, or so the magazine said. Next to him sat his fiancée, elegant, lethal, smiling the way people do when they know no one can touch them. I watched her reduce a server to tears over something trivial, and I felt that familiar heat in my chest. The one that says, "Keep your head down, you can't afford this fight." I did my job. I was polite, invisible, until the moment everything tipped. A glass slammed onto the table, wine spilling toward a white shirt worth more than my rent. I moved without thinking, caught it before it stained, did exactly what instinct and training told me to do. The table went silent. For half a second, nobody breathed. She stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. Her voice cut through the room. Accusations, insults, that sharp demand to be obeyed. And then she pointed at me and ordered me gone, banned, erased. The manager reached for my arm, already apologizing to her, already afraid. I pulled free and said something I shouldn't have said, something small and honest. I stopped the spill. That was it. The line you're not supposed to cross. I was fired on the spot, escorted out like trash. But as the door closed behind me, something strange happened. I didn't feel small. I felt awake, like I just remembered who I was. I was in the alley a little later, rain soaking through my shoes, trying to light a cigarette I didn't even want when a voice said my name. I turned and saw him standing there out of place among the dumpsters and steam vents. He thanked me. Not the way rich people thank staff out of habit, but like he meant it. He said I moved like someone trained, not like someone scared. He asked me questions that were too sharp to be casual. Then he offered me a job. Not charity. A contract. Real money, enough to fix problems I'd been carrying for years. The catch was simple and terrifying. I'd be close to her, watching, listening, pretending to be harmless. He suspected someone inside his world was bleeding his company dry, and he needed someone who wouldn't flinch. I laughed at first. It sounded insane. But desperation makes you brave in weird ways. I said yes. The next morning, I walked into a glass tower that smelled like ambition and fear. She was waiting. She made sure I understood the hierarchy. That I was there because he pitied me. That she could end me with a phone call. She smiled when she said it like it was a joke only she was in on. I nodded, played small. Inside, I started counting steps, exits, patterns. The numbers didn't lie. They never do. It didn't take long to see the discrepancies. Shipments that weighed less than they should. Costs that didn't line up. Materials that looked fine on paper but would fail under stress. This wasn't greed. This was danger. People could get hurt, killed. When she realized I wasn't just fetching coffee, the pressure changed. Errands designed to humiliate. Tasks meant to isolate. Then the basement. Locked doors, lights out, no signal, a camera blinking in the dark like an unblinking eye. She wanted me scared, broken. Instead, I sat on the floor, pulled out what data I had, and worked until my fingers went numb. I found it. Proof buried deep enough that no one casual would notice. And when her enforcer came looking for me, moving through the dark like he owned it, I did the only thing I could do. I didn't fight fair. I fought smart. Just long enough. After that, things moved fast. A charity gala. Cameras. Dresses that cost more than cars. She thought she'd won. Thought she'd framed me, humiliated me, removed me like a stain. She forgot one thing. She underestimated how much I'd already lost. When the cuffs clicked around my wrists, I didn't cry. I waited. In the interrogation room, I didn't beg. I negotiated. I laid out what I had, what it meant, and who it would bury. I watched disbelief turn into interest, interest into urgency. The trap was set. One final night. One public moment where she and her family would feel untouchable. When the truth walked into the room, wearing a suit instead of a uniform, the silence was deafening. Badges came out. The room exploded. Power evaporated. She screamed. She lunged. She looked at me like I'd betrayed some unspoken rule. I hadn't. I just stopped playing by hers. Afterward, when the noise faded and the cameras were gone, I stood there shaking not from fear, but from release. He thanked me again, but this time it sounded different. Like equals. Here's the thing people don't tell you. Justice isn't loud. It doesn't always look clean. Sometimes it's just a quiet moment where the person who thought they owned everything realizes they don't own you. So let me ask you this. Was I right? Was it justice or was it revenge? How many times have you watched someone get away with cruelty because everyone else was afraid to speak? And if you were in my place, would you have stayed invisible? Or would you have crossed the line too? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them, and trust me, stories like this don't end when the video does.